grandfather's lunch bucket.
How we used to like to go in the woods and have dinner with him. He always put our wood in the winter time for the next winter. And he had this lunch bucket. I never saw one like it before or after. It was oval like that. And in the bottom you put sandwiches and pie, donuts, whatever. And it had a top that set into it. And then you put your coffee in that. And then there was a cover went over that with a place for a cup on top of the cover. And used to build a fire at noontime in the woods, and of course warm up his coffee. He didn't have a thermos. Warmed up his coffee, toasted his sandwiches. And we kids used to love to go and he'd take some sandwiches and cocoa or something, and he'd toast our sandwiches and we'd warm up our cocoa. And we thought that was a big treat. Grandpa loved to. Never had any.
Yeah, I can remember you telling me.
He'd just
Make
make
those jack things to ride on in the snow. What do you call them? Jumping jacks or
jack jumpers.
Yeah.
And he'd take a barrel stave and put a chunk of wood on it and a flat piece of board on top of the wood, nail it all together. Slide down the hill on it.
And he was a picker too, right?
Not an awful lot,
I
no.
thought he used to teach you.
No, not Grandpa Tatro.
She said, and then she was telling us about Grandpa Tatro coming up to Swanton on his fishing trips.
Yeah, every summer. He had a man
From
that had
Randolph?
a truck. Well, when we grew up on the hill there, he, every summer he and this other man took Grandpa had a big tent. I don't know if the man had a rowboat. I think they rented a boat there, but it was just a rowboat, not a motorboat. And they go up for a week or more. And they catch a lot of fish. They fish in the lake, and they used to Highgate Springs.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was another place that they went.
Yep.
And they cooked for themselves. And I got a picture of him, I think, with this other man holding a string with all these fish strung on it.
Now they had a car.
Well, the other man did. Grandpa never had a license or a car.
Must have been quite a ride up here.
Oh, yeah, it was. There was no interstate or anything then.
Have any idea how long it took them?
No, probably all day.
I would think. Those cars weren't going very fast,
No,
and the
those cars
roads weren't
didn't go
very
very
terrific, and they must have really loved fishing too.
But he used to bring home. They used to pack, a few days catch. They pack them in ice and they washed them and bring them home in the truck. And it was when you were fishing on ice in that truck. He loved to go fishing. He loved to fish.
And that's when there was big fish in Lake Champlain, not those little things we catch now.
He loved to go trout fishing. Always wore his fishing boots, had hit boots. Grandpa was a little man. He had hit boots because didn't need them in those brooks or
No.
that he fished in. He'd kind of folded them down from your hips if you didn't need them like that.
Yeah.
That's where he put the sharp fish. He said that when about 3 inches long, you could eat worms and all were the best.
Are you serious? He did eat them like that?
Oh, I don't know if he ate worms or not. He used to say that. I know he used to put sharp fish in his boots. And that fold, right, fold.
Or because even back then they had a limit
Oh yeah,
on size.
6 inches always was the limit. We kids used to fish that.
So he was actually an outlaw.
Yeah.
He loved kids. He was awful good to us kids. He bought us the things our parents couldn't afford to. I had to walk on skis and ice skates and snowshoes.
Yeah.
I remember when he bought us all snowshoes for Christmas one year. Of course, they lived with my parents, and they didn't have to pay any rent, and they ate with us and everything. And he worked.
They didn't get Social Security back then.
Oh no.
That must be why parents lived with their kids so much, because they didn't have anything to live on.
Well, Grandpa worked when he died. He was 82, 81, 82. He used to walk from He lived on the avenue there in Randolph, down in the business section. And he used to walk up to the greenhouse. It was night walks. He used to walk up there.
What greenhouse?
You wouldn't know. You know, had anything with them in Randolph. You know where the four-way stop is?
Was
there?
up the hill there?
Yeah.
Oh, I know where that is.
Up
I've been
on
up
top
there.
of that hill there. And he used to walk up there. He was 81. He used to walk up there, and he was night watchman up there. And, right up until he was, I guess when he was 81 or 82, I forgot him much, right up to his last seconds. And they lived on the 3rd floor, and he used to love wood up the stairs.
Wow.
Burned wood. He used to love wood up those stairs.
Flights of stairs.
Reminds me of Pat French's father.
Yeah, he was a lot like him. And, Mr. Whitney too, you don't remember, he lived on
I remember the
Union
name.
And he used to live down on Union Street near where Lois lived. And he was over 80 years old, and he used to walk
Why do
up
I
to
say I
Fernandes.
remember the name? Isn't he the one that we were going to buy his house and he backed out
Could be.
on the corner?
Now he lived, you know where Aunt Lois lived on Union Street? He lived next door. Not on the corner, it's the other
Okay, I
side.
know who you mean.
You're thinking of,
There was an old man too.
yeah, I can't think of his name. I know who you're thinking of on the corner. Yeah. No, that wasn't him.
I remember the name Whitney.
I was telling Ashley once that my mother tells a story about her playing with rocks at Big Rock, and you would pretend there was a farm.
Yeah, we did.
We kids did that too.
Yeah.
My sisters and I used to do that. My brother too sometimes.
Different size stones for cows and different size for horses and pigs and chickens and and that's how we played farm.
Didn't have the toys yet.
But we had an imagination.
Right.
I used to.
That's what all we had to play with, really. Was imagination.
I remember playing up on it. And Mother would make us a picnic with sandwiches and cookies and ginger tea.
Ginger tea. Yeah.
Made it with molasses and vinegar and water and ginger.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a substitute for ginger ale, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we never had soda.
Right.
I went on a picnic when I was 6, I think. And somebody brought some ginger ale. And it was the first time I'd ever had ginger ale.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the bubbles coming up my nose. I've never liked soda since. I don't like carbonated drinks.
Yeah.
As a rule, I do. Some of them I do drink now, but
Yeah.
not as a general rule. I don't.
Bubbles went up your nose.
Bubbles went up my nose. I suppose when I swallowed it, you know, or you burped it and it came up your nose or something. I didn't like it anymore. I remember that. That was the year my father had a car. When I was growing up, he had a car for 2 summers. I think 2 summers. And that's the only time he had a car while I was growing up. He went anywhere we could ship the horse.
Yep.
Heck, when I was 12 years old, I could harness the horse and go where it needed to go.
Yeah.
But you didn't just automatically do that. The horses had to work. Sometimes they were tired. Sometimes they were needed. And so you walked. I would go play with my girlfriend, lived 2.5 miles away. I walked.
Yeah.
And I walked back to him.
Did you ever go smooching and parking in the horse and buggy?
No, I never did do that. No. My father did most of his courting on foot. And some of the boys did have cars, but where I lived, you could only get up there with a car 3 months out of the year.
Right.
You couldn't I'll never forget one boy. He was from Northfield. And,
Want to name any names?
Huh?
Want to name any names?
no,
No.
you wouldn't know me. There was these 2 boys from Northfield, my girlfriend, one of them, and they come down sometimes together and 4 of us would go out. Of course, my girlfriend lived down on the main road, but I lived 2.5 miles up in the boonies.
Yep.
Mostly uphill. This was in the spring. It was muddy. Really muddy. So he decided to walk me home. Of course, you know, I was being kind of miserable. I was telling him like the sea bears up there. Heard the panthers screaming and so forth.
Which probably wasn't too far off. Could have.
Well, once in a while somebody'd see a bear, but not often. So I wasn't really afraid. I was a little nervous when I walked home alone at night. And 1 o'clock in the morning.
Should have been out that late.
And, well, I didn't intend to walk it. I'll have to tell you that story too. Anyway, this guy walked me home. He got a little more nervous, so he didn't walk me all the way home, but he did pretty near. And my girlfriend told me you should have seen him when he come back. He had got, I'd scared him, and he had run and slipped and fell in the mud, and he was a sight, she said.
Probably every little noise he heard.
I don't know if he ever took me out again or not. I never cared that much for him, and we just went with him because my girlfriend and I did things together, and he was a friend of her boyfriend. So.
Yeah. That's funny.
It was funny. What did I say I was going to tell you about? How good my memory is.
You didn't want to walk.
Something to do with walking home, I think.
Oh,
You're
you're talking about my walk. I shouldn't have been walking home 1 o'clock in the morning.
right.
I love to dance when I was young. I was any way I could get to a dance within reasonable distance. I went. I didn't always know how I was going to get home. I always told my father how to get home.
Of course, your mother died, when she
Right.
was just a little girl.
And I wasn't all this old when I was running around dances. So much older than she is.
But we won't tell her
And
that.
probably maybe. And I started going with my parents when I was 11. I was younger than that. My mother died when I was 12. I probably wasn't more than 9. They used to have dances Monday nights. And my mother belonged to the Women's Relief Corps. And they used to have dances she and my father used to go. And my girlfriend was my best friend when I was young. Her parents went too.
Is that what they
Fred
call
Cole.
kitchen junkets or something?
Well, this wasn't a kitchen junket. This was in the hall. I don't remember if my girlfriend's father went or not. Her mother did. But anyway, they started taking us. My girlfriend was older than I. All my friends were older than I. Because I started school when I was 5. I wasn't 6 until March.
Yeah.
And then when I was in 7th grade, I skipped a grade. So I was 12 years old when I started high school.
Wow.
So all my friends were 2 years older than I was.
Yep.
So I ran around, too young with an older crowd. But anyway, this night, my girlfriend and I were going to dance. And her brother said he'd take me home afterwards if his father let him have the car. So I told him I had a ride home. And so we went to the dance and we come back and his father wouldn't let him have the car to take me home.
Oh no.
And probably with good reason. It wasn't, I don't remember that there was snow, but the ground froze. It was that cold, the ground was frozen. So, usually I'd call my father if he'd let me stay overnight. So I called him and I said, George can't get the car to me home. I said, I'll stay overnight with Eleanor. You will not. You'll get your ass home. That's exactly what he said. When he said it like that, I did it.
Yeah. You knew
So
you
here
were
I am at 1 o'clock in the morning with high heels and silk stockings. And the temperature down so the road was frozen hard.
Yeah.
Walking up there at 1 o'clock in the morning. 2.5 miles. Didn't take me too long.
Scared.
It's all upset, all uphill. I wasn't that scared, really. I didn't used to be scared.
You weren't scared of Grandpa?
Huh?
You weren't scared of Grandpa?
He never laid a hand on me.
No.
He switched my sisters with a bush or something. Because they did something they're not supposed to do. He went over went over to Frank Thomas's. You're not supposed to go in the middle of the through the woods, and they weren't awful.
Yeah.
Did switch them with a bush on the phone. He never had a hand on the scouts. He didn't. He never did the scouts.
So you were the oldest, and then who comes next?
My brother. He was 2 years younger than I.
Yeah.
Then I have a sister, 18 months younger than my brother. And another sister was not quite 2 years older than that one. And then Lois was only 14 months older than that.
Yeah.
I was
Younger.
I mean younger.
Yeah.
I was 6 in March, and my mother had her 5th baby in June.
Wow.
See where I got it?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then, she had a late one like you and I did. Because that's when she died, when she had that other one. Lois was, she had it in January, and Lois was going to be 6 in June. I had Bruce in April, and Mike was going to be 6 in June.
And I had Tony in May, and Doug was 6 in May.
Yep.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
You didn't carry on the tradition, did you?
I had Ashley 5.5 years after I had
So they're
Nick.
close.
He was
Wow.
born in 82, and she was born in November of 87. He was born in April of 82.
Yeah. But you didn't have the large family that we did.
No. Different time.
Judy
I
was
still have a large family.
Yeah, we went from 7 to 5 to 2.
Yep.
Got smatter as we went down the road here.
I still have 5 brothers and sisters.
Yep. All halves, every one of them.
Yeah. Technically, I'm an only child.
Technically.
Except Dad adopted Nick, so.
Yeah.
well, Nick's your half brother, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but some of the others are her halves too.
Yeah.
All of
yeah.
them.
There's a lot of halves.
halves.
A lot of halves.
She'd give anything for a whole brother or sister.
No, she has Nick.
Man, I treat them all holes. All my halves, anyways. All my halves gotta make a few holes, right?
Right. Your 5 halves make 2.5 holes. So you were 12 when your mother died?
Almost. Mother died in January and I was 12 in March.
Yeah. And what are your favorite memories about your mother?
I get one of my favorite memories is that she used to always read to us when we went to bed.
Yeah.
She'd put us all to bed and then she'd lay across the foot of the bed and read with an oil lamp and read us a story. And she used to buy us books, but we always got books for Christmas. And we had, I don't know if you're probably not familiar, I think they still have them in the libraries today, the Thornton W. Burgess animal books, the Billy Mink and Jimmy Skunk and all of those.
I remember those stories a little bit.
Oh, I think I had some of the books for you kids. And she used to read to us almost every night. Almost up until she died, she did. And then another thing, I think, what a wonderful thing it was she did for me. Of course, we lived way back in the country. They used to have band concerts in town on Monday nights. I think every Monday night, maybe one. And I didn't know at the time, of course, but here she was pregnant. She worked like a nigger all the time, and she wouldn't walk down to those band concerts with me, so I could go to the band concert with my friends.
Yep.
And here she was pregnant.
I'm tired from the days
Oh,
Things like
laboring.
I tell you, she worked.
Yep.
I remember resenting it.
Did you have the big gardens back then where you kids had to help get all the produce ready for
Well,
canning and
We didn't when Mother was alive so much because there was Grandpa. He did a lot of gardening, most of it. And,
Yeah, actually, when your mother was alive, your kids weren't that old.
no. But after my mother died, we still had, and after Grandpa left, Dad still planted a big garden. We worked in the garden. We picked vegetables, and I canned.
How'd you learn from your grandmother?
Hmm?
How'd you learn to do it from your grandmother?
Right out of the blue ball cannon book. My aunt was so. My father's sister used to come down after
Aunt
my
Carrie?
mother died. Aunt Carrie used to come down every fall and do some canning and stuff for us, you know, and bring some stuff down that she canned and made. And sometimes she made soap and she did pickles and she'd stay a week or two. We hated to see her come because she made us work.
She's a big woman, right?
Huh?
She was a big woman.
Not terribly.
I don't remember her as being big.
She was probably. She might have been a little taller. My dad's family were all taller. Aunt Alice was quite a bit taller. Aunt Lois makes me think of Aunt Alice a lot.
It was Aunt Alice, I'm thinking of. Would I have known her?
No, I didn't know any of them. That died.
I didn't know Aunt Carrie. Must be I heard a lot about her because it seems like
Yeah,
I
you probably have heard a lot about her. No, she died. And you were just a little girl. I don't believe you ever saw her. I'm sure you didn't. But anyway, she used to come down. And so she came down this fall. That was after my grandma got her. And I had canned all summer, made pickles and stuff. And my aunt was disgusted. Don't know what sent her, was thinking of Ted. They told me, I don't know what Ted was thinking of. Let that child can all that stuff went one of the key, well, we wasted. I let her know it, I didn't lose a can.
That child knew what she was doing, huh?
That child, I could read and follow directions. I was 15 probably.
We knew you could
Can you
read.
imagine that, Ashley? 15 years old and she was
Came in the
Picking and-
supplies.
canning vegetables for their
I was running the house.
supply and
Running the house, bought the kids' clothes for school.
Yeah. washed
And I didn't have any electric lights, and I didn't have any hot water in the house. We didn't have any bathroom. Outhouse.
We've heard some stories about outhouses.
You've
Yeah,
been,
my aunts.
you've
Yeah.
been up to Uncle Gary's camp, haven't you? Or hasn't she been?
She has, but she
When she was small.
not when we all used the outhouse.
Mhm.
Of course, I wouldn't have brought her in an outhouse anyway.
That's all we had. We figured mighty chilly go out there in such a fanny down in the wintertime.
You didn't leave your seat by the wood stove like
No.
Gary did?
No. And you know what we used for toilet paper? Always did. Never had anything else for toilet paper. Of
Catalogs.
course, we grew up in the Depression and we were dirt poor, you know, but
Yep.
everybody was, so we didn't think anything about it. We used Sears Roebuck and Montgomery Ward catalog.
Still used
Tore
it
out
when
a
I
page
was a
and
child.
scrolled it up, and that's what you used for toilet paper. I wonder we didn't have something more, but we didn't.
Had a lot of ink on your butt. That's what you had.
Yeah, we must have. You didn't use the colored pages, they didn't.
Worked so good.
No, they didn't.
I can't imagine a Caesar or Roebuck without color pages.
Well, didn't have many of them in those days. It was all black and white.
Yeah.
And that's where we bought almost all our clothes and things we sent away for them to Montgomery Ward. Or Sears Roebuck. When I was 15, 16, my father bought 100 bullets, or 100 chickens. He sold, I had to help take care of them. He sold the roosters for broilers. And when they began laying, he told me if I took care of them and took care of the eggs and everything, I could have the egg money. And I saved the egg money. I had a room downtown. Sometimes I took a horse and sometimes I lugged it.
Yep.
I had an egg room. And this is on top of keeping house, you know.
Right.
And I saved up more money and bought a gasoline washing machine.
A gasoline washing machine. Wow.
Started it just like you do a loan.
Yep.
So he not only said you could have the egg money, but what he really was saying was you'll have to take care of the eggs and sell them.
Oh yeah, and I think the grain money came out of that too for the chickens. And I didn't have enough to pay for it, but I bought it on time. So the eggs and sent the money in monthly, paid for it.
Yep.
Did it make washing that much easier
Oh yes, yes it did. A lot easier than doing your own scrub board.
for all your brothers and sisters?
And burnt my legs more time on that damn exhaust pipe. Had to run it out the window. You'd step over it and burn your legs. But you had to fill it by hand and emptied it by hand.
Yeah.
You heated the water on top of the stove because you couldn't have hot water.
Yep.
And I never thought anything about walking downtown 3 miles. We did have a little shortcut, probably wasn't quite 3 miles. But my neighbor, her husband was terrible about bringing home groceries all the time. So I'd walk down with her and we'd bring back bread and flour, whatever she used. Needed. It wasn't an easy life. I guess probably just good for me.
Now, your mother's life though, that must have been different because there's lots of pictures of her all dressed up and photographs couldn't have been cheap.
No, my grandmother made them. My grandmother was a seamstress, so was
Yeah,
my
she
mother.
made the dresses.
Yeah, she made all us kids' clothes. My mother and grandmother made all our clothes.
Yeah.
And grandma made a lot of mother's clothes too.
But getting your photograph taken at a photographer's must have been
Yeah, you didn't
A
do
treat.
that very often.
She was an only child, wasn't she?
Yes. Yeah, my grandfather gave her anything he could. He never had anything, but he did have. He'd give it to her.
Give her gladly.
He did thought the world of her. Grandma wasn't fond of children.
he must
Of
have
course,
been
my mother weighed 11 pounds. Probably after she had her, she didn't. But she wasn't more children. She never
Wow.
had more, that's for sure.
11 pounds.
Can you imagine?
Was there some sugar involved there or anything?
I don't know, my grandmother was little too. She wasn't much more than 5 feet tall.
An 11-pound baby.
Whoa. So that's
My
a bit
mother wasn't.
ain't much.
I don't believe she wasn't any taller than Marilyn. I don't think she was as tall as Marilyn. I was taller than my mother when my mother died.
Grandpa's family is
And Grandpa
pretty
was,
good size.
Grandpa Tatro was little too.
But Grandpa
my
Erskine's family was.
Theirs kind of family were tall. My mother's family were little. Grandpa was a little man. Grandma wasn't very big. Mother wasn't either. I remember her as being heavy, but she wasn't really, because I remember her, of course, as being pregnant.
Right. She was pregnant all the
She was
time.
pregnant most of the time.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant, of course, the year before she died. She was
Yeah.
pregnant. So that's how I remember her.
And that baby didn't live?
Boy or girl?
Hmm?
Boy or girl?
Girl. I never saw my dad wouldn't let me see it. I wouldn't know him to help pick out mother's casket. And I wanted to see the baby. He was buried with her, but it didn't show.
You must have felt really devastated and scared for your mother to die when you were so young.
I used to have horrible nightmares and awful fear. Of course, I was in denial. I just had awful fear. She wasn't really dead. And they buried her and she came alive.
Yeah.
And I used to have nightmares about that.
Yeah.
And finally my father sat me down and told me that couldn't possibly happen because they took all, they take, when they embalm people, they take a lot out of them and
Right.
put embalming fluid, and then, you know, it can possibly be come
Right.
alive. But I used to have awful.
Did you stop having the nightmares then?
I don't think so. And
It must
I
be very frightening for little kids when they want this stuff.
and very frightening for an oldest one when everybody says, well, you have to be
Sort
the
of
mother
depending
now.
on
You've
it.
got to be the mother now. And I remember I was so innocent at that age. I remember saying, well, now I'll have to sleep with Daddy. 'cause
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody said that. My aunts, my grandmother, you have to be the mother now. That's a lot of responsibility.
Trying to make you
on the
feel like a big
12-year-old
girl.
child.
12 years old and
My grandmother stayed with us for 3 years, but her health began to go, and she